Upendo waenda wapi? Ndani yetu wa Kristo. Tupendane wote. Upendo waenda wapi? Ndani yetu wa Kristo. Tupendane wote.
This is Moving Music, a podcast from the music department at the University of New Haven. You're listening to Upendo, a choir led by Buchwa Alenga, who moved to the New Haven area in 2019. Upendo, which means love in their native language of Swahili, is a choir of Congolese refugees that perform worship songs in their local church, the First Baptist Church in New Haven.
My name is Mbobo Shingongo. Most people call me John.
My name is Zuberi Mtemba.
Two of the Buchwa sisters, Marceline and Georgette, also joined us in the studio. After playing a few songs, we asked John and Barry to share some stories with us.
After the death of my father, I lived in a refugee camp in Tanzania. We got the chance to come to the United States of America and we moved in Connecticut, New Haven. In my childhood, I can say both of my parents was Christian. After I moved Tanzania to United States, I began to sing, and until now, I love to sing.
For the members of Upendo, faith is the central reason that they sing. While Barry can speak English well, Abuchwa offered to translate so that Barry could tell his stories in Swahili. Like Abuchwa, Barry grew up in the city of Baraka on the east coast of Congo. When he was young, though, he was resettled to a refugee camp in Tanzania.
He was lived there in Tanzania like all time, like 20 years there.
Yeah.
And when he was leave Tanzania to come to United States, he kept going to singing. And when he was for God, he was see some choir, right? They was welcome him in their group, and then they was singing together.
Na ni kweli nikaamini kweli Mungu yupo.
And then he would say, God is living and is very protect.
Na wao wakanipa matumaini wakasema ipo siku kwa njozi yako.
And then they will say to him, don't stop bro, that's a good job, singing is a good job. Keep going, we're gonna worship God.
Hivyo haikutosha nikaanza kutunga.
And then he was create his songs himself.
Hivyo haikutosha tena ndani ya ile group wakanichagua tena kuwa mwalimu.
And then for the group they was choose him like teacher.
Na hivyo ndo nikapata neema ya kuja huku USA.
And for that he was live in United States. He asked two questions like who or when he gonna get some teacher to teach him how to sing it. And then he live here, he saw them, he saw us. So
nikawa na furaha sana, nikasema hapa ni njia moja ya kupata mafanikio mbele.
That's he said he was very happy. That is the way how he gonna know to sing.
Na ni kweli nilianza na mafanikio. Mungu akasema mmoja wa kwanza wewe hapo wa kupiga gita atakufundisha.
And then he saw God bless him. Jiulize ndugu, kuishi kwako ni neema yake Mungu. Jiulize ndugu, kuishi kwako ni upendo wake.
We were lucky enough to have them come to our studio to sing a few songs and share their experiences. After our interview in the studio, Ubuchwa invited us to attend a church service with him in Upendo. We weren't entirely sure what to expect from this experience, but as soon as we arrived, we were welcomed by the members of the congregation and they were all very interested in our work. The church was pretty empty that week, as this took place at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, but spirits were still high and everyone was very friendly. We set up 2 microphones in the church facing the large stage in front to capture Upendo's performance, though we mainly had to guess as we didn't know for sure where they would be. The front of the church was dominated by a huge pipe organ that one of the church members told us had been silent for months since they couldn't find an organ player. After setting up, we took our seats in a pew a few rows back from the front, and soon some of the Congolese families came in and sat down as well. Most of the other churchgoers were on their own or in pairs, but for the Congolese, church was a family affair that everyone showed up for. Having spent many years of my life in church, the service started as I expected. We sang some hymns, discussed local events, and said prayers for those in need. Once the pastor, Reverend Delahunt, called Upendo up on stage, the room was filled with a new, exciting energy. We were obviously excited to hear them perform, but it was clear that the church as a whole looked forward to having this music. While we only had a few members of Upendo in the studio, there were 10 of them at the church, and all of them were dressed nicely. The men especially had on bright, colorful suits that were nothing like anything I'd seen in a church before, but they didn't feel out of place here. It felt uniquely special to this church, which is home to such a diverse group of people. For the first song, named Moyo, which means heart in Swahili, Ubuchwa gently played guitar and sang in the beginning. Then, the rest of the choir joined him in harmony. For the second song, one of the younger boys played a small drum set that was on the side of the stage. This song was much more upbeat, and all the singers got into it as they swayed back and forth in unison. After the songs were over, Pastor Delahunt returned to the pulpit and asked for good news worthy of celebration. John stood up behind us and told the pastor how happy he was that we were there recording them, and that their stories would be told to people all over. This was an incredibly touching moment for all of us, as we saw just how much our project really meant to them. After the celebrations were over, Pastor Delahunt began the service, and asked for a translator to join him up front. One of the refugees walked up to join him, and as he delivered his message in English, the translator spoke in Swahili so everyone in attendance could understand. The 2 of them went back and forth seamlessly, and this was obviously something they did frequently both in church and, as we heard with Ubuchwa in the studio, in everyday life as they all help each other out.
But then people say, well, the God of the New Testament, that's the God of love.
If I could sum up my experience in the church that day in one word, it would be community. There were people of all ages, all ethnicities, and all backgrounds there, but there were no divides. It was one large family. Some of its members had traveled thousands of miles and experienced events that we will never understand, and yet everyone came together to build one community around their faith. When the service was over, we got a chance to meet the rest of the members of Upendo, take some pictures, and get to know them more. Upendo is a wonderful group of people that brings so much joy and music to the New Haven area, and we hope to meet up again with them in the future. Thank you for listening. This has been Moving Music. Everything you hear was researched, recorded, edited, and produced by students. Our professor is Erica Haskell, an ethnomusicologist who is serving as the university's Oscar Schindler Humanities Foundation Endowed Professor. The Schindler Refugee Music Project celebrates diversity, builds community, and provides hands-on learning opportunities for students. During these episodes, we share the lives of refugee musicians in Connecticut through their stories and songs.